I just finished installing a WR long third function valve kit on my Kioti CK2510 with the KL2510 loader, and there are several little points that I want to note for anybody else who might do this, as well as for my own memory. So this is the third function valve. The first thing, when I put this on, it looks like this bracket is just a little bit too long. I did not modify it because it just clears the brake pedal. So I think that's going to be okay. However, if I find that it's in the way, I can just cut the bracket and re-drill the holes. On that same note, this bracket for the front ports, the holes were not lined up and the bracket was just a smidge longer. So I went ahead and cut. The length was probably about down to here. They had two holes in here that did not line up with my holes in the torsion tube. So I cut just above the holes that they had drilled, and I re-drilled two new holes, and it fits perfectly. No issues. Bolted up nice and fine. And I had a picture here somewhere of the size of the bolt. Hold on, it is M12 by 120, 1.25. So those two bolts are an M12 by 1.25. And if you can see the length, they can't be real long because they'll hit the torsion tube. So I ground mine down to just the proper length and then put them in. All right, next issue, the joystick. So no problems, no major problems with the joystick putting the new one on. However, getting the old one off, it is molded onto the joystick. There are no screws, there are, no ways to get it off. You have to cut it off. So I cut mine off. At the top of the joystick, you can see here it's a round stick, but at the top it has this wee little flared out bit. So I took my grinder and cut that off. That flared out bit fits up inside this handle. So there's absolutely no way to pull this knob off without cutting it off. So I cut it off. After that, there's a bolt that you're supposed to put in the back of the joystick. It does not line up with the hole that's in the joystick itself, because on the Kioti, the hole is from this direction going through. The hole here is from the back going forward. Yes, I suppose you could turn that joystick a little bit and have the hole line up, but then operating the trigger would be very awkward. And I believe this is the proper orientation to have it. That way when your hand is resting on the joystick, you use middle or index finger to work that rocker switch. But that was no big deal. I got the top of it ground off. I got everything wired up. Very simple. No problems with that. Next is the Power Beyond port. I called my dealer and they did not seem very helpful in helping me identify what the Power Beyond port is. I have the backhoe on my tractor. There are two remotes in the back for the tractor. They run under the fuel tank right to here. That bolt and that bolt. That's where the backhoe hydraulic fittings go into whatever. This is the transmission, or if it's a pump, I don't know what it is. So in the instructions from WR Long, they give you two fittings, adapters. And they say take the adapter. Oh, forgive me here. Take the adapter, one of the adapters, and replace it at the where the steel line connects to the loader valve and up under the seat. So here's one spot. That's one of the fittings. This one is easy to identify because it has a metal washer and a rubber O-ring that will go into the power beyond port on the loader valve. So the power beyond, you have your 4 ports coming and going to the loader, and that power beyond is on the inside, going in toward the tractor. That's the power beyond port on the loader valve. This end, this is the original factory. This end goes to that power beyond port that I just showed you. This bolt fits through here, like so. And then you also have this O-ring. All of this contraption from the factory fits up in there where the new hose connects. It fits right up in that port. The other end of the steel tube right here actually goes to that. On one end is a rather large fitting. Into the tractor, it's reduced down quite a bit to a smaller fitting. So when you look at this from the factory, this coupler fits in there. Oh jeez. My hands are oily, sorry. That coupler. Oh, I just dropped that thing down inside there. Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Oh. Jeez Louise. Alright, that was easy. Let's try this again. So this coupler fits just like that. Although, I mean, it fits in there. This end goes in there. So it's very deceiving. It almost seems like the fitting that's provided by W.R. Long is not going to fit. But you need to take this coupler out of the tractor right here, and then that fitting will fit, and then your hose will fit. The hose was a little bit awkward because I think the natural instinct is to point the 90-degree downward to have it go down toward the valve, but it seemed like it just didn't seem like it fit well. So I went ahead and just bent the 90 here to go across and loop back down to the valve underneath the tractor. It was plenty long, so that worked out perfectly to do it that way. There's not a whole lot of sag. It's connected up to the block, hydraulic block, just fine. And there's no leaks. I started it up and tested it, and it's perfectly fine. So I think those are all the issues. So just to be clear, the power beyond port on the valve underneath the tractor. Oh boy, where is it? right there. That's your power beyond. Right there. It comes up to here. Simple connection. And I think that's it. Oh, so the hoses. So I just routed the hoses with the loader hoses and zip tied them together. I got heavier duty zip ties. I'm gonna clean this up a bit, but I just zip tied them down, and I'm gonna add another zip tie here to keep them together a little bit neater. That's it. Now I just need to grapple. I would be remiss if I did not give a shout out to WR Long. There's their information. There's what I ordered for my tractor. I don't know why it's blurry. It won't focus. I called Josh, spoke to him, and he was so very patient with me and helpful. I called him, well, I don't know, 3-4 times, and he was just pleasant to talk to, willing to help, and we got it all figured out. Of course, it was my mistake, but he was cool about it. So highly recommend them. If you're looking for a third function valve, these dudes got it.